Well, we've already announced $17 billion of savings, Tom, which the Labor Party criticises us for, but then doesn't recognise. And that includes abolition of the school kids bonus, rephasing the introduction of the 9 to 12% superannuation, cutting the humanitarian refugee intake from 20,000 back to about 13,000 where it was, and a range of other things, including the abolition of the $10 billion Clean Energy Finance Corporation.
Will that be enough? Because on my numbers, you're going to need like 30 to maybe 40 billion of cuts, especially if you're going to get back to a surplus within the next couple of years.
Well, I don't want to spit your numbers, but I'm not familiar with them. But our numbers will stack up. You'll see all of our numbers before the election, which is a hell of a lot more than what Labor Party's done. Of course, Labor Party's only announced what the position is at the moment of the budget. They haven't actually told anyone what they're going to promise for the next 3 years and how they're going to pay for it. So they're starting off well behind us in relation to comparisons on costing.
Okay, so in the next few weeks, before September 7th, there'll be other spending cuts to be announced by the coalition?
There will be, but we're focused on one thing, and that is how to grow the economy and create jobs. And everything we're doing, everything we're saying, everything we're focused on is about job security and job creation. And that is the only way we're going to lift confidence in Australia, and it's the only way, Tom, that we're going to get back on track. Should
public servants up in Canberra be a bit nervous about their jobs?
Well, we have said another savings measure that we've already announced was that the public service in Canberra is 20,000 larger than what it was when we were last in government. Now, there's been no improvement in service. And what we've said is through natural attrition, over 2 years, 12,000 will go. That is, we will not replace the people that leave. And that means that is a significant multi-billion-dollar saving as well in our budget.
How long do you think it will take you to get back to surplus if you're elected Treasurer after September 7?
Well, Tom, it all depends on the starting point, and I have no faith in the government's numbers. They've got every single number wrong. And only last week, they announced a $33 billion deterioration in the budget bottom line. That's $3 billion a week since the budget. And if they're hemorrhaging the budget at $3 billion a week, Lord knows what it's going to look like at the end of the election campaign. So I don't know what my starting point is, and I'm not going to make promises I cannot deliver.
The government says it just follows Treasury forecast, Treasury numbers. I think you're on the record of saying you no longer trust the Treasury. Is that true?
I haven't said I no longer trust the Treasury. I said I no longer trust, and I never have trusted the government's numbers. Now, the government waxes and wanes about whether they're Treasury's numbers or not. What matters is that they're all wrong. They're all wrong. And they have been consistently wrong. And I think any independent analysis is confirming that the numbers from the government have been wrong. So the starting point for me is to get the very best information from a range of different sources and then focus on how we can start to rebuild the Australian economy, give people confidence and certainty.
So those independent sources, this might be on top of Treasury. I guess I'm just trying to...
In addition, yeah. Tom, I think you've got to get it in addition to Treasury. Look, all wisdom and knowledge doesn't come through the air conditioning in one building in Canberra.
That's very true.
It comes from a range of different places. And I spend a lot of time, as you know, in Melbourne and all around the country, speaking with business people, listening to people on the ground who are engaged in business. And you get the early warning signs. You get the early warning signs about a lack of confidence. You get early warning signs about job security or the lack of job security. And when you put that together with the optimistic forecast that we've had for the last few years, it just didn't match. So I've been constantly saying the government has its numbers wrong. It has been too ambitious. It's not being realistic, and I've been proven right in every circumstance.
Oh, no, I agree with you. I wouldn't trust Treasury as far as I could throw it, but that's just me. You probably can't say that. Tell me, former Liberal luminaries Jeff Kennett and Peter Ruth have both come out and said that the increase in paid maternity leave that the Coalition is proposing should be put on ice until the country can afford it. What do you think?
Well, I don't agree. I mean, we will only introduce it when we can afford it, and we'll show how we can afford it. But there's a few things here that really matter, Tom. The first is, it is about improving productivity, about improving participation in the workplace. There are a lot of women in around birthing age who leave the workplace and then come back part-time or don't come back at all. And that is a massive cost to the economy. I mean, it's the hardest job on earth is raising a child. I have no doubt about that.
I agree.
But we want them to come back to work. We don't want to lose their skills. And this plan is about giving them the same opportunity, the same remuneration, and importantly, the same superannuation as if they did not have children. So on the one hand, we want them to have children, but on the other hand, we don't want them to be financially penalised for having children. The second point is, I grew up in a family of small business people. We always used to lose staff to bigger businesses who could afford paid parental leave, or the public service who could give paid parental leave. But my family couldn't afford paid parental leave, so they had a turnover of staff, female staff in particular. So now, under our plan, small business for the first time is going to be on exactly the same level playing field as big business. And it's only going to be big business that pays for it. So it means that we are giving the greatest leg up to 1 million small businesses that they've ever had in relation to parental leave. And I see that as and the third thing, can I just add one more thing?
Sure.
Only 1% of the people that earn over $100,000 up to the age of 45 are women. Only 1%. So the suggestion that somehow this is a generous scheme, I mean, for crying out loud, people of birthing age, only 1% of people earning $100,000 a year are women.
And not all of those choose to have children. We better leave it
That's
there.
Right.
Shadow Treasurer Joe Hockey, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your time, Tom. Thank you.